50% returns in 2 years time. That's what I can safely project you will end up making if you invest in the right project in this area. This video is going to be about how to identify a good off-plan project, what are the bases for that, and how to go about your investment. Just to give you a bit of context, I'm in Al Furjan right now. We've got Al Furjan West over there on our left. We've got the villas, townhouses, plots, and some buildings as you can see in the distance over there. Discovery Gardens right over there on the other side. And of course, you have the metro running in between. We've got Dubai Marina and JBR and the beach just about 12 to 13 minutes drive from here. From Sheikh Zayed Road, you're just about 2 to 3 minutes away. And that should basically tell you about the general connectivity of this area. Close to Sheikh Zayed Road, close to Mohammed bin Zayed, close to the beach, close to Marina. Of course, Jafza is right behind this area where you've got plenty of workforce working there on a daily basis. So how to identify a good off-plan project to invest in? Number one, before you pick a project, you of course have to decide the location. How do you narrow down on the location? So for example, in one of my previous videos, I discussed how I believe Al Furjan is one of the best tier 2 areas to invest in right now. And the basis for that argument was that in other areas, in similar areas, for example, in JVC, in Arjan, even JVT for that matter, prices have already increased a lot. So I don't see a lot of potential in capital appreciation in that sense. Plus, there are chances of those areas running into a bit of oversupply as well. So let's say when you're setting out with a budget of $1 million or so, you first have to very diligently pick the location that you want to invest in, the community, the overall, the macro picture of the entire thing. And that's why I always refer to the maps. If you lay out the map, the entire map of the way in front of you, you would be able to very easily determine the per square foot prices, the number of vacant plots there where you can expect buildings to come in, and how the rental market has been behaving. Now, some of the areas, for example, JVC is a great area for ROI. You end up making very steady, good 7-8% returns if you have the right sort of investment there. But it might not be an ideal area to invest in now for a flip, for a resale potential. So number one would be to identify a good area. Al Furjan, I keep discussing, I keep referring back to it, where you find a similar project in JVC trading at 1500, 1600 dirhams per square foot. You tend to find it in Furjan for, let's say, 1200 dirhams per square foot or even slightly less than that. So in terms of the area, I am very bullish on it. You've got the metro connectivity as well. You've got 3 metro stations more or less running through the community. Then you're close to Sheikh Zayed Road. Then you've got this Al Asail street that takes you all the way to Mohammed bin Zayed and other parts of the city as well. If you want to go further down south, or if you want to go to downtown, Barsha, those sorts of areas, you get on Sheikh Zayed Road in just about 4 to 5 minutes drive. So in terms of location, it makes sense. In terms of price, it makes sense. So that's how you identify a good potential area where you can flip your property, your investment in, let's say, another 1.5, 2 years time, or when the project is getting ready. Another important factor to look at would be to see how many people are already living in that area or close to that area. For example, behind me, we've got Discovery Gardens. Further down that road, we've got the Gardens area as well. Now, these are some of the older areas in the city, but some of the most densely populated as well. These buildings, and there are tens of them, are not so premiumly built, so they are older now. Finishing is not the ideal, not the best. So you can save, but people are paying all sorts of rents here. There is no compromise on the rents. So you can safely assume that some of this demand is obviously going to get eaten up by these newer projects over here, right? So that's a little bit of how you decide to go for an area. Now, let's say you have shortlisted an area, you have picked from all the lot as per your budget. You want to go for an area like this, for example, this area in and around Al Furjan. So how do you decide to go for a project? For example, right now I'm standing in this plot. Okay, this is a plot for Floarea Vista. This project is almost sold out. And then we've got another one over there coming just a few meters down that way, which is called Aqasa, Enclave by Aqasa, another new developer, amazing project, well priced as well. Then you've got Samana, California here, Beverly over there. So plenty of projects within the small stretch of land. But this happens to be the last major plot which is vacant along this road that has the metro running. So very premium, very important to note. the scarcity of the property that you're going to be investing in, you know. So this plot is not going to come back again, because in all across this road, if you look at the satellite imagery, there multiple buildings have been launched, and practically there is no remaining plot now where there can be future construction done, right? So why did we pick this project? We've sold a few units over there. I also like Aqasa Enclave as well. But why? And the answer comes down to the price per square foot. So we've got a building right in front of us. It's called Westwood by Imtiaz. There, one bedroom apartments are transactioning at 1.2 to 1.3. Okay, on average, let's say 1.25 right now. Now, this project, for example, Floarea Vista, it gave you an opportunity to invest in a similar project, potentially slightly higher end than Imtiaz Westwood. Very very decent layout, 1+ study layout, so almost a 1.5 with 2 washrooms as well, at a price point of $1 million. And the price per square foot was less than 1200 dirhams per square foot, right? So if you compare it to JVC, makes tons of sense. If you compare it to other projects launched within Al Furjan, it makes a lot of sense. If you compare it to ready properties selling right across the road, right across the street, I should say, and transactioning at a rapid pace, it makes a lot of sense. Now, if I was to assume, if I'm investing today, I know a ready property is selling for 1.25 million, and I have an opportunity to invest in the same location in a slightly better project with better finishing at a price point of 1.1 million dirhams, then that's a 25% profit from the word go, right? So I'm already sitting at a 25% premium as per the current market prices. Now let's say the market is not going to increase, you know, the market stays the same. By the time the project is constructed, or the next 2 years, the market stays the same. No ups, no downs, which is, again, you know, it's a hard assumption to make, because we know for a fact that prices are increasing like anything. And if you are getting anything, any apartment in this sort of a project, this sort of finishing at 1200 dirhams per square foot, it's bound to increase in value. But let's say it stays the same. 2 years down the line, you have the chance of flipping your property at least a 25% profit. So if you got it at 1 million, you have a chance of selling at 1.25 or 1.3, and by the time of handover, you've only put down 50% of the total amount of the investment, right? So I mean, it's a no-brainer sort of an investment. You have a clear indication that you would be able to make 50% return on equity in the next 2 years, because these buildings, these are G+9, G+10, they take a shorter while to get completed as well. For example, Floarea Vista, the handover is expected in Q2 of 2026. So you have a clear indication, a clear mathematical equation in front of you where you can make a 50% gain on your equity invested. Now, another factor to look at would be to check the rentability of that area. For example, in Westwood Imtiaz, 1 bedrooms are being rented at 100,000 and more. This is long-term rentals we're talking about, right? So even if you're an investor who wants to build the rental portfolio, you're getting something at $1 million dirhams today, you know for a fact that in the next 2 years, you will be able to rent it out for 120,000 dirhams, making around 12% gross return on investment. So amazing potential for ROI, for ROE, return on equity. If you want to flip it, you would be able to make a decent return on your investment as well. That's how you spot opportunities. Pricing is key. You really need to make sense of what is being offered and at what price, and how does that compare to the general overall picture of the market in absolute terms. And when you come down into any particular area, how does that price point compare relatively to other options available in terms of ready properties and off plan as well. So that's how you can identify good investment opportunities to invest in. And of course, then there are other factors such as the developer, because in most of these tier 2 areas are now being taken up by newer developers who are doing their first, second or third project. So there isn't a lot of track record, but when you deep dive into the developer, you study their plans, you study their corporate history, you are able to make sense of what they are gonna do. So yeah, this was a quick video. I am a big fan of this area, I've been saying in my videos, and I'm glad that I have been able to sell a decent amount of inventory in some of these projects to some of my clients, and I know they're gonna make good returns. Even if they decide to flip or rent it out, we have a good potential in either way.